Hey, everybody, it is Monday. And if it's Monday, that means it's time for Mondays in the Meditation Room with Dr. K for Midlife Musings. This is a space created by the Enlightened Woman Enterprises, and we are all things enlightenment and empowerment for Black women in midlife and beyond. We here and the meditation room with Dr. K are redefining midlife, not the crisis, not the chaos, not the end of our life, not worried and stressed, but we are redefining it. It is, man, just so grateful that we get to reimagine, redefine, redesign. It is a season of awakening and rebirthing of ourselves. And so I'm excited. How about you? I hope you are. Hope you're excited. And I am really excited because, of course, I just always love our theme song. It's such a vibe for us here in the meditation room. It's such a vibe, and I'm grateful. I'm vibing, I'm relaxing, I'm chilling. And if you are watching live or on the replay, welcome to the meditation room. Mondays in the meditation room with Dr. K for Midlife Musings. It's this safe, sacred space for women in midlife, right? To talk about it, to be encouraged, to be empowered, to be strengthened in the company of our sisters. Guess what? You are not alone. You're not the only one going through this amazing rite of passage, this amazing season of significance in your life. So we're so glad. We're so glad whenever you join us, whether you're on YouTube or the Enlightened Woman Facebook page or Enlightened Woman private community Facebook page. You are welcome. Mondays, 9 p.m. We are here. So I'm so excited because last week I was on travel, and hey, good evening, y'all. And the entire month of February, I was all excited, y'all, because we were gonna have our special guest on every Monday in February, and had some issues on the first Monday, and then the second Monday we were on travel. But last week, y'all, we were finally able to have our special guest on with us. I'm telling you, if you have not seen that episode of Mondays in the Meditation Room from last week, you need to go and scroll down the Facebook page or scroll down on YouTube and watch it. Oh my God, phenomenal. Because we've been covering some amazing topics in the meditation room, had some amazing guests last week, but we want to join the conversation, that male voice talking about midlife. And I'm so excited to have my husband of 38 years, 40 years dating, to come and be in. Man, he dropped some amazing knowledge on us on last week. So buckle up. No, don't buckle up your seatbelts. Just let it all hang out and receive whatever he has. We're going to kind of have this conversation, and it's going to be flowing and organic. If you have any comments, please put it in chat. If you have any questions, please put it in the chat. If I were you, I would text somebody, call somebody that you know needs to be a part of this conversation and invite them. So help me welcome back to the meditation room. Woo-hoo! Dr. Harold B. Hayes Jr. So excited that he's with us to share some of that insight and wisdom about men in midlife. That's what we're talking about. We've been talking about women in midlife, and in particular, Black women in midlife, for well over a year. And I thought it was time for us to have the conversation with a man. In that movie, it's a man. It's a man in the room, y'all. We used to have to yell that on the floor and in college. Man on the hall, man on the hall, man on the hall. It's a man in the room, man in the room, man in the meditation room. So excited to invite him and have him here with us. Yesterday was my 40th. I pledged Delta Sigma Theta 40 years ago in college. And we were riding home yesterday from dinner and realized that um, that was the night that I went over was the night that we became official. Actually, we went over, and I couldn't remember how I knew about the party. I couldn't remember how I got to the party. All I know is I was going to the party to see Harold, and that was the official start of our relationship 40 years ago. And I don't know why we never thought about it before, because it was February 27th, 1982, that we became an official item. So we've been married 38 years, but together.
So it'll be 38 years soon.
That's right, it'll be 38 years in July. But our official dating date was yesterday.
Yesterday, February 27th, 1982.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mwah.
40 years, 40 years, 40 years yesterday. So I'm excited to have you. So last Monday, we had such a great conversation
Yes, we did.
about men in midlife, because even though we're having the conversation here in the meditation room in this safe and sacred space, um, many of us are not doing this midlife journey in a vacuum. We're not in a
Nope.
silo. We're not doing it by ourselves. We have partners or husbands, right? Might be dating, even, wherever you are in midlife, or want to, because can I say it's never too late, right? And uh, that person might be in this same era. We are trying to find our way as individuals, and then as couples, or married couples, and it can be challenging.
Yes, 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 yes.
Yes, yes, and yes. So last week, you dropped such great insight and wisdom and knowledge in the room. Man, I wish we had recorded it because it was phenomenal and so revelatory and freeing.
Wow,
Yep.
wow.
So I just want to start out with that question, like I do all my guests. I didn't do it last week, which would be, um, since we are both in that same age range
Hmm.
right now, who would you say that you are as a man in midlife right now? Who?
Wow. First, let me say thank you once again. It's first of all, it's major for your spouse of going on 38 years and dating for 40 years. I like that. I like the way you said that. As of yesterday, I'm still on a natural high, sweetheart. We still do. You know how we had to say I do? We still do, and I'm excited. So thank you for inviting me last week. Had a wonderful time, and then you bringing me back. Wow, I'm excited just because you are desiring to bring me back and share this special moment. You are doing a phenomenal job. This is amazing. You have a global reach to a real challenge and opportunity for women to soar in this time in their lives. And so So just thank you for being that enlightened woman
Mhm.
and letting your light shine. So who am I in this midlife mystery? I call it a mystery.
Excuse me 1 second. Keep talking because I got to turn this heater off because, sometimes me and heat don't.
Look, right smack dab in the middle of the conversation. We have to make major and minor adjustments. And she got the fan. Look at that. I love it. Oh, man. Look, hey, sweetheart, that reminds me when I finally got the revelation of what you were going through when we were in the car. And you turned around and said, look, and your
Mhm.
glasses had steamed. I was like, oh my God.
For those of you who don't know that story, because we all talk about, one of the things that we have to manage in midlife. And here's the thing, not all women deal with hot flashes. I
Right.
was real mad when I found out my mother didn't have them. But I remember when I first started doing it, my husband, bless his heart, that loves me so much, I don't think he believed that it was happening or it was.
I believed it was happening, but I couldn't see it until I saw it.
Until I saw it, because I was like, "Oh my God." I turned around and I was like, "Look, this is what I'm dealing with. This is me when I get hot, this instant combustion
No,
happens. My glasses just started steaming up.
so
My
when
face
somebody's glasses steam up, that means their temperature, their body temperature is
was like,
high.
"Oh my God." I was like,
I almost went into shock. I was driving too. I was like, oh my God. Look, I'm glad you weren't driving.
"Yes."
Yeah. What a wonderful, challenging, thought-provoking question. Who am I in this moment in midlife? And I would absolutely say I am in process.
Mm,
I am in process, and things are absolutely changing. I am smack dab in the middle of andropause, which is the male pause, and I'm learning more and more about it, about by way of reading, by way of researching, by way of literally listening to other men.
mhm,
It would have been wonderful if my dad had prepped me for this,
mhm,
but I don't think men are as yet uh, intentional about raising a level of awareness about this season in our lives because we actually um, are not celebrating it.
mhm,
We're tolerating it, right? Because what we are tolerating is very, very, very frightening.
mhm,
And what we are tolerating and what is inevitable for every man, beginning around 30, more so 40, depending on who you are as an individual and your level of health and physical fitness, you start experiencing the decline of testosterone, which
mhm,
is everything for men. It is our male hormone that facilitates so much. And then when you begin to experience a slow decrease starting at 40, it can begin as early as 30, but starting at 40,
mhm.
when you start experiencing a slow decrease, it throws you in. First of all, let me share that I found out that it could last anywhere, Dr. K, from 15 to 20 years.
Yep.
and and they say that with menopause, it's more intense as far as your symptoms.
Mhm,
But with andropause, they're very subtle, but they're very persistent.
mhm.
Uh, and they sneak up on you, and you know it. You're experiencing a mood swings. I know brothers don't want to hear that. Woo! Mood swings,
Mhm. Anytime your
depression,
hormones fluctuate, that's what happens.
look, mood swings, depression, irritability,
Mhm,
memory loss, muscle loss. I mean, I'm weight gain, insomnia, and here's the one. I was wrestling whether I would share this, but there's a condition where sometimes men begin to start developing breasts. Don't want to talk about that.
No, they don't want to talk about that. So in case you didn't hear it, I'm gonna type it and put it in the chat as well. But if you have not heard this term before, it is andropause.
Andropause.
The male version of
Female menopause.
and it's really, I don't really want to kind of put it that way, but that's the only way I can put it.
I thought about that too. I wrestle with whether to put it that way, but it does it does assist those who are not aware of it. It does assist in raising the level of awareness, because the first thing you want to say is, what is andropause? Well,
So
it's
I would say it's the complementary physical transition for men to women, because it's not necessarily the female menopause. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's not male.
Yeah. The only reason why I decided to use it is because everywhere I researched, that's how they refer to it. They refer to it, and they're doing that because so many men are like, what is that?
Right.
And so as soon as you say it's the male version of menopause, they're like, oh my God.
I know, right? That's what I'm saying. But it's just the male season of midlife. We could put it that way.
It is the male season of midlife. That's a very good way to you just coined a phrase. That's the male. Say that again.
The male version of the season of midlife.
It's the male version season of midlife, from head to toe, from A to Z, from soup to nuts.
Because you said something that was so important, from 10 to 15 years, because most women don't even realize that's how long. Because here's the thing, in midlife, we deal with perimenopause, and the onset can be anywhere from the very, very early side of the spectrum is 35, but traditionally they would say 45 on up, and then 45 until you have at least a year of not having a cycle, then you're in menopause.
I
So
got you.
a lot of women don't understand that they're not menopausal until a whole year has passed by and you have not had a cycle. All of that stuff we're dealing with prior to that is considered perimenopause, PERI menopause, meaning you're transitioning to menopause, and it can last anywhere, like you said, from 10 to 15 years.
Yeah, that's amazing, because then andropause is from 30 to 40.
Mm.
And then from 40 to 60, 65, because they say anywhere from 15 to 20 years, you're in it. And it makes a whole lot of sense to me now, because this is the year of 60.
Mm-hmm.
This is the year for us to turn 60. And wow, it explains a lot. When I say in process, it's because of my awareness now that I've been in process. I've been in andropause, and I did not even know it. And I have to say that, so you don't think I'm some deep scholarly professor and master on andropause. I'm learning, and they say as you learn, you teach, right? I'm learning this, and I'm in the process of learning it, and learning that I'm in that process. And go ahead.
No, I was going to ask you that process, like, because when I first started talking about midlife and menopause, the majority of the women that I asked, including myself, nobody had ever talked to.
Oh yeah.
About it. And that, would you say that that's definitely the case for men?
Absolutely, absolutely. No, what I now know is from my own research.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had to start, asking, and I would say that the questioning The concern was prior to the transition of my father, which is a major pivoting point for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was in 2019. And so I did have concerns. I knew things were changing.
Mm-hmm.
And then once he transitioned, as they say, you don't miss the water till the well runs dry.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I had so many times my father would just call me, just want to talk, and we would talk and laugh. And now I miss it to a whole nother level because now I have all these questions that he
Mm.
cannot answer now, and I have to go and get the information myself.
Wow.
And the information that I'm getting is just amazing. Like, uh, this is just for shock factor. So I got to prep. I have to say this because it's your show. The shock factor is not only is a possibility that for some men, because of the loss of testosterone, they might develop breasts. Their testicles shrink too, and I'm like, oh, really?
Want to hear that? We don't even want to hear it. So, so I know y'all don't want to hear it.
Yeah. So I'm like, who am I during this process? I'm during this season. I am in process, not just physically changing, but mentally and emotionally. And I would say that the process that I am in is a process where I'm looking forward to soaring in my 60s, because they say that our greatest season of production for midlife is upon us between 60 and 80.
Wow. Isn't that
Um, uh,
amazing?
it's amazing. Paul began his missionary journeys when he was 60. Moses led the people of Israel to liberation when he was 80.
Wow.
And he produced for another 40 years until he turned 120. So I'm claiming my 120. I'm just, if it's midlife, right? I'm claiming, listen to this, Dr. K, I'm claiming I'm just midway.
Yeah, that is so good. What would you say, based on some of our conversation last week, kind of in review, are the challenges for men facing this season in their life? Because the stereotypical thing is, oh, we know a man is in midlife crisis when he leave his family and run off with the young secretary, or go buy a red, sports car or something like that, and just really challenge. But that can happen, and that's stereotypical, but
Mhm.
it's usually deeper than that. How do you say that it shows up in some men when they're in this season?
Awareness is everything, and ignorance can end up being anything.
Oh my goodness, that was so good. Wow.
Yeah. When you're ignorant, you'll end up doing all kind of things because you really don't know. You really don't know. You are grasping for the youthfulness that feels like it's slipping through your fingers.
Mm,
You're trying to reclaim something that is not yours to reclaim.
mm,
We think becoming older. I'm speaking for men now.
mm,
We think becoming older, um, and with all the changes, is the worst thing that could possibly happen.
mm.
We're not taught that it's the best thing that could possibly happen. When
Wow.
you're getting older, you're still alive. And so the challenges are everything I said earlier. We have been, I got to be careful. I have been conditioned as a man and as a male. I've been conditioned to associate wrongfully mood swings, irritability, um, uh, those two. Let me deal with those first two as emotions for women. So now, to hear that I've been moody, I've been irritable. To hear the word depressed associated with a season for men is daunting. Yeah, and so, but it's real, and it's very challenging. And so, when those things come upon you, then you scramble to reject them. Right? You don't embrace. You don't even embrace the possibility that I can start experiencing mood swings, irritability, and depression. I haven't even talked about the other ones, but I'm just talking about the emotional stuff now, not even the physical, because the physical changes can make you go emotional, and then emotionally, you feel like you're in the sunken place as a man. And so you feel like I have to do something to get out of this place and space. And the truth is, there is nothing you can do but go through.
Woo! Wow. Wow.
There's nothing you can do but go through. And I have begun that process to accept that I am smack dab in the middle of andropause. And the key word is I'm going through. You don't get stuck in andropause. You don't get stuck in menopause. You go through it.
It is the whole rewiring of your brain and your body. Your body is trying to get you to this next place. And which is why I like to redefine it also as a rite of passage.
Yes, it is.
Have several throughout our lives, and we are not taught to celebrate those rites of passage and embrace that season where you are. So, we come, out of childhood and into puberty, into teen, then, those rites of passage. It's a big deal when you go from 12 to 13, you a teenager, right? Or when the young girl gets her cycle, or a boy sees that first pubic hair or mustache or whatever it is. That is a rite of passage. Your body is, it's time to shift your thinking, to shift your way of being. And then on up, to 21 or whatever, in that birthing and building season and stage where you're going forward to build the foundation for your life. And then you shift out of that. Midlife is that place where you're shifting into you being the priority for your life. Even in the midst of maybe being in that sandwich generation where you're taking care of parents and or adult children or grandchildren, but your mind is still shifting. You're not gonna stop it.
No.
You're in the midst of that.
Yeah.
What can we do? I think what we should do is start celebrating it as a rite of passage, and instead of fighting it, embrace it and flow with it and take care of our mind, our spirit, and our body.
Yeah, it's amazing. Now, as I contemplate, think, and meditate on it, rites of passage for me has taken on a whole new meaning. And I use, for me, the example of, and I know people would argue with this, but this is my story, I'm sticking with it, that your first rites of passage is from the womb into this world.
Oh man, that's good. You went any further back than me, but it's true.
That's your first rites of passage. And you have a rite to passage through the birth canal or whatever means you come into this world, because you have outgrown the womb. The womb no longer is able to sustain you. And so And so you now, once that which used to sustain you is no longer sufficient, you have a right to passage from that into a larger arena that will then sustain you. So first the womb sustains you, then the family, the rites of passage happen, you are born, and then the family sustains you, and then the environment is designed to sustain and take care of you. And then you get to a point where you're 12 or 13, entering puberty, and now you're becoming a little bit now more interdependent, but independent as well. And so things are changing for you physically, how you think, how you perceive, how you interpret, and you have the ability to exercise now a little bit more your will. And then there's another rites of passage. That's the one where and another rites of passage is, I believe, oh my God, I believe another rites of passage for those who decide. Everybody doesn't have to get married, but for those who decide to get married, that's a rites of passage.
It
Rites
is.
of
It
passage.
is.
And you enter into that, and there's so many different areas and changes and times of development in that so-called womb. And then you enter into the rites of passage that we're in now. And it just means, the point I'm making is that you continue to mentally, emotionally, and I want to stay right there, and spiritually just outgrow. And when you outgrow, you can't stay. And now I'm beginning to embrace this Andropause, because I'm outgrowing certain concepts, certain ideals that I've held on to, certain ways of thinking, certain ways of being, certain ways of speaking. I've outgrown them. My appetites are changing. And I'm outgrowing them. And I'm not even getting into good or bad or right or wrong or holy or unholy. I'm literally talking about you outgrowing, and now you have a rite of passage to your next arena of development. It's an arena. We're passing from one area where we have maximized to another arena where we will further develop.
I love, love, love that, because when you talk about it as we're discussing it as a rite of passage, but the way you put it is so great, is that you have to go to that next level when you outgrow that place. And for women, as we talk about it, we outgrow the need to be validated, right? You outgrow that need to explain yourself.
Wow.
And you outgrow that need for permission to be and to do. And you literally leave that behind, because you're in the greater arena now of confidence, well-being, trusting yourself, your potential, having a greater sense of self. And that's where we're supposed to be. And I know that we always talk about, oh, we don't want people to call us ma'am, or sir. That makes us
That's
feel
an honor.
It's an honor. We're supposed to embrace that place of eldership and honor. And we've earned it by experience.
Learning by experience, learning by living, learning by slow walking a lot of situations, circumstances that we have overcome.
So let's talk about, just for a few minutes, because we're over our time. I said we would just do 30 minutes, but this might be the segue into our next conversation. What our relationships with ourselves and with a spouse or significant other looks like in midlife. Woo!
Allowing.
So good.
Allowing. Some of the toughest, most challenging, most rewarding times I have with you is when I realized, Harold, this is your time to one, allow her rites of passage,
Mm-hmm.
and then give myself permission concerning my rite of passage.
Mm-hmm.
The most constant thing in a relationship, let me just put it like this. I was going to go universal, but the most constant thing in a relationship is change.
Mm-hmm.
And when you can no longer accept change in the one you're in the intimate relationship with, it's 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 um, it's hitting up against the guardrails, and it might go over the cliff,
Mm.
because when you're with somebody, they don't remain the same, and you don't. And many times we want our spouse to be very in tune and long suffering and patient with our changes.
Mm-hmm.
But then we want, for our own false sense of security, we want them to stay the same.
Mm-mm-mm-mm.
But but you must allow your relationship
Mm-hmm.
to be uncomfortable.
Wow. So good.
You must allow your relationship to not be okay, and know that even when it's not okay, we're still okay.
Woo, that's so good. That is so good.
Because there's no getting around. If you are married to a woman, and woman, if you are married to a man, y'all both, and y'all keep living,
Mm-hmm.
y'all gonna go through the change.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Man, that's so
Man,
good.
Dr. K, those some thought-provoking questions.
Mm-hmm. And because you wonder why, I asked that because sometimes in midlife people get to 40, even more years than that, sometimes 20, 25, 30, 40 years, and then this season hit, and because they haven't been self-aware, they haven't been taking care of themselves, they haven't been honest and vulnerable and communicating, then they don't even have the fight in them left to fight for the marriage, to fight for themselves, or
Right,
to fight for the marriage.
right.
And you, then you like, what happened to so and so and so and so? They just
Oh,
got divorced. What?
yeah, they're not together anymore. I
Mhm,
can't tell you how many times I hear that now. And as we continue to, grow gracefully,
mhm,
I continue to hear that, and you're like, wow. Um, it's amazing that we are in, you and I, we're in a whole new season rediscovering each other.
mhm. And you love, that's what I love. That was perfect timing because Pastor Deborah Grant just said, after you adjust, then you realize you welcome and actually love the changes.
Yeah, you really do.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
That's so good.
So
Yeah.
I have to confess, I do not know you,
Mhm,
but I'm enjoying getting to know the ever evolving, transforming you.
mhm. Because prayerfully, as we do the inside work individually and together, I'm becoming so much more comfortable with myself. So it's not as stressful on you.
Right.
I'm not requiring you
And
to
superimposing, yeah.
superimposing, whatever my insecurities are on you, whatever's going on with me. Once you surrender to the spirit, let the spirit do the work in you,
Wow.
you're not so stressed about looking for who you need to look for inside in your spouse.
Right. Yeah, yeah. You don't affirmation from your spouse is wonderful. It's golden. Uh, uh, and it's nice when you receive it.
Mhm,
But when you experience your, by God's grace, validation according to your own embracing of who you are,
mhm.
ah man, that's a wonderful thing.
That's
You bring so much more to the possibilities of your new relationship with each other.
And that's such a good way to put it. Thank you for saying it that way, because not only are we evolving as individuals, but our marriage evolves. It should,
Yes.
it can, your marriage cannot stay the
And
same.
it's not supposed
And
to.
it's not supposed to. It's supposed to evolve with you. Who you are and who you are together as a couple should be evolving as well.
Absolutely.
Man,
Absolutely.
I love it. Y'all, we get ready to sign off. If anybody has any questions or any other input, this has been amazing for me. Do y'all find this valuable and helpful? Maybe put in the chat some other things that you think we should consider and to talk about and chat about, do some research on, or maybe you've learned something that you want to share. So just go ahead and put it in the chat, because we want less stress as we get older. We don't we want, more joy and freedom as we get older.
Yeah.
We
I
mature,
think one
evolve.
Yeah, one of the coolest things as we grow in God's grace and we evolve and we go through our rites of passage and we enter in this whole new arena of possibilities, opportunities, development, and fun. It
Mm-hmm.
is absolutely awesome uh, when you can literally start dating one another again
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and getting to know each other all over again after
Mhm.
you raise the children. Come on.
Right. Yep.
After you've experienced some of your parents transitioning, right?
Mm-hmm.
After uh, uh, they left and gone, and now you have an empty nest.
Yep.
You can travel, you
Mm-hmm.
can date,
Mm-hmm.
you can enjoy one another on a whole nother level.
Mm-hmm. That's why you have to do that inside work, go to therapy, do some whatever you need to do to shift with it, because your life and your body and your mind, your spirit is going to shift. You can't leave all of that behind or let that go and shift. Like, you can't take yourself with you. You have to be
Yeah,
willing to shift into that place and embrace it and celebrate it. I love
yeah.
it. I love
Wow.
it. Thank you, honey, for joining me in the meditation room.
Thank you.
I'm loving it, because some of the comments are like, this is great information. This is invaluable. This is excellent. It is good teaching. And because we need to talk about it. The
Oh,
problem is we're not talking about it.
not talking about. Don't want to talk about.
Don't want to talk about it. And we have to get rid of that shame and regret and all of that.
Right.
We have to be willing to talk about it so we can shift into this amazing, sacred, significant season of our lives with the joy that it was meant to bring us.
Wow.
Love
Wow.
it.
Love you.
Love you. Thank y'all so much for joining us tonight on Mondays in the Meditation Room with Dr. K and our special guest, Dr. Harold B. Hayes Jr. It was wonderful. We might have to have you on like at least once a month to kind of give us another perspective to help us talk about and break down um, whatever it is we talking about. Get that other perspective. It was so
I,
cool.
I will be honored.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for having me.
we might have to get a panel of midlife men on and just kind of let y'all talk and let us listen and see how that
Wow.
goes. That would
Wow.
be powerful, right?
Wow.
Yay! And then we teach. We got to teach what we weren't taught. So thank you for teaching. Thank you. Amen. Yay. And a couple of sisters, the Enlightened Woman Tribe, have their husbands with them watching. So that is so cool. I love it.
Wow.
Yay. So we will definitely do it again. Y'all go on over to Power Couples and follow us on our Facebook page. We got some work to do and catching up, but come on, be a part of it as we talk about it there too. Love y'all in the
Love
tribe. We will see y'all next Monday. Have a good evening, y'all. Woo! Oh, I usually play my theme music, but I'm just cutting out today. All right. Bye, y'all. Have a good one.